Call the December Park Board meeting to order. You want to start with the roll call of attendance?
Pam Brokaw. Here. Mike Kennedy.
Here.
Karen Nessett. Here. Tori Boomza.
Here.
Karen Stankovich.
Here.
Not here. And Don Buchholz.
Don's not here. And me.
And Pat Casanova.
Karen Stankovich is here.
Oh, she is? Okay.
It's right down there.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Any comments from citizens before we go into our agenda? Please take the podium and feel free to go right ahead. Introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Roger Riedel. I live at 306 Knollwood Drive, which is on a cul-de-sac that abuts Coons Hill Park. And that's why I'm here this afternoon. If you're unfamiliar with Coons Hill Park, it's a small neighborhood park, undeveloped for the most part. It has a parking lot, a grassy area, and then also a hillside, which is popular this time of year for people that go up there sledding. Otherwise, the park's used a lot by people in the neighborhood to exercise their animals and so forth. The reason I came tonight is that the border or the fence, and I have pictures if I can pass around. The fence, and if you can call it a fence, has been in decay for years and years. It has posts that are experiencing varying degrees of rot. There's a orange road barricade that I think was probably put there as a temporary measure for something. It's been there for well over 3 years. There's a remnants. You'll notice in one of the pictures there's about an 8-foot tall, looks like a cedar post. That's all that's left from a sign that told you were in Coons Hill Park. The sign's been long gone. I initially brought this to the attention of, I believe, the park board. I remember sending Deb an email maybe 3 years ago. I don't know if I did the city council also, with essentially the same pictures. And at that point, the response was that an engineer would look at it and a fence would be put up the following spring, which would be 3 years ago this coming spring. As you can see, nothing's been done to that park.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a good look for a park in Hudson. And that's all I have. I'd like to see some concrete plans made to actually address that in the near future.
No. Thank you for bringing it to our attention and so publicly.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Now it'll get dealt with. No, thank you for bringing it up. Anybody have any questions, though, before we close that and move to anything else? If not, we'll move on to our agenda. Our first item for new business is a possible action to install heritage signs at Lakefront Park.
It's Mary Claire.
Mary Claire is.
Yeah, so I guess I'll introduce it. Hudson Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau, St. Croix Historical Society, and Christensen Creative put together a proposal to add historical signage throughout our Lakefront Park and out onto the Tollbridge Road. And they are here to present their kind of proposal and answer any questions that you might have. I did include their slides or their proposal in your packet. Hopefully you're able to see that so you can kind of have an idea of what they're talking about. So with that, I guess I'll hand it over to you, ladies. Thank you for coming.
Hi, I'm Mary Claire. This is Tricia. Thank you so much. We're so excited about this project. And as Roz said, the information is in your packet, but just kind of walking through that, it's going to be on the south side, right? South side of the toll bridge. So that will be a really fun way to expand the park further. But we could walk through the project with you, or if you have specific questions.
I think it actually takes up every light post from the band shell along that entire walking path to the boat launch. So as people are kind of walking down with their dogs or their kids or even local families, there would be banners to tell the story of Hudson history. So it'd be fairly robust, which is nice and another way to engage our visitors.
Is it the light poles also along the sidewalk on First?
No, it's just the walking path, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's more decorative.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we also have a proposed signs on the archway. One of the things when we were taking the walking tour with years ago when we applied for the Spark grant from the Community Foundation, there is a dedication plaque that has patinaed. And so it is hard to read all the names on the patinaed plaque. So one of the new signs would actually be resetting all of those names that are in dedication currently, but putting it in the same style, making sure it's readable, and then could carry forward for, years to come.
What would the group like? You want them to go through the whole thing or just answer questions?
I went through it all.
I think we're comfortable with that.
Okay.
I think my comment is I love this, and I love that Hudson's doing this, and thank you guys for doing that. We have such a historic, not just the town, but the parks and the river and how it all blends together. My only personal comment that popped out at me, and again, this could just be me, which often is just me stuff. I see that archway, and I could be wrong, Pat could correct me. I see that archway as, like, the whole part is sort of a monument. It's sort of almost a museum piece, I'll put it, in my brain it is. And seeing the vivid graphics and the vinyl with aluminum brackets and whatever, it's almost like we're putting something on a piece that you should stand back and look at. If these were literally on a post, 2 feet away, I think that then we can kind of look at this thing with the reverence. I always look at it when I walk by. So that's my only comment. I love everything about it. It's just the mounting on the actual, that's almost the most historic thing in that whole thing. We no longer have the cannon is gone and all those things. This is one last thing. So I don't know if that could be tweaked. I know your point about that plaque being gone, and maybe part of this update and / renewal is that we could look at replacing that or updating the plaque and kind of bringing it back to the original look, feel, timing, etc. So anyway, that's my decision. Other than that, I love it.
It's a good observation, though.
Yeah, Mike, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
That we should stand it back in a way. Another thing is I was looking through all this, the height of it, to be sure they're low enough that children and families can actually read and see these things. Because too often these are put up around town, and I've seen where they're too small or too high, and no one can read them. They look beautiful, but nobody's read a word on them. So just keep that in mind, size of print, style,
Yes.
and height.
Yes,
But keeping it away from the arch is important.
I'm trying to find the dimensions of the signs. So these are 44 inches. No, that's the welcome. We will look at it. We do mock-ups before we print anything.
Yeah, and then stand back and see.
Yeah. And I think the goal is to keep it really simple because there is a phase 2 idea of having an audio tour with it. So that we don't have to tell the whole story on the banners, but then when we have phase 2, that would be a nice component, and maybe we have people from town reading some of those stories too.
And on your audio tour, could you also include like maybe the Boy Scout Monument?
Yes.
And other things around?
Yeah.
Because there's some really
Yeah.
neat things that should be part of that. And then that would congruently draw it all together.
That'd be fun.
How about going north of the band shell and the beach up towards St. Croix Street?
I think that could be a great phase 2. Yeah.
With the railroad and the history from all of that, that's so evident from there.
Yeah, and of course, like, Octagon House will be critical for helping us pull those stories together, but I think that would be great. And it's something that we can build upon for years and years just to keep
Yeah,
history points throughout Hudson relevant.
we keep getting older,
Yeah.
right?
That's true,
We-
yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I had I love the idea. The items that would be displayed, who would determine what's displayed or the content that's on the information that's being put
So
up?
Christensen Creative will work with the Octagon House Museum to create themes and then different phases, but a lot of it will be based on lifestyle, school, industry, transportation, just kind of cool things that, are really high-level history. And then if people want to learn more, they can go to the museum or the history room at the library to keep the stories going.
And you could include that in your
You want a motion, don't you?
verbiage of your.
Mike?
I can tell, well, can I just tell you as the assistant director of the museum, I'm super excited about this. We're really excited at the museum because it's such we obviously at the museum love Hudson history, duh. but we're just excited, we're always excited to share it with the community, and to get it out with these two is such a fantastic opportunity for all of Hudson to learn more. As I always say, we have such a deep history here in Hudson that so many people don't even realize. And it just, if someone can just get a small taste of what we offer, or what we have done and what we've created in this town, I'm so excited for that, because we've put so many amazing people and inventions and things into the world that so many people from Hudson alone don't realize what we've contributed. So I'm super excited that that these flags will be out there and let people know how great our town is, and where we've come from to what we are, and who we are. So I'm excited.
If I can just add, one of the really popular pieces that Tricia and her team helped us create is a historic walking tour through Hudson. That is the #1 piece that everyone who comes to the chamber office, requests and takes with them, and that it's drivable, you can walk. People love learning about a history of a community, so I think this will even enhance that even more.
You want to make a motion then?
I make a motion to approve this.
Second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Anybody have any other
Well, I
questions?
think we should make that statement if everybody agrees about not hanging on the arch.
Okay.
If everybody
Yeah,
else
include
is
that.
in, so that becomes part of the motion.
And,
Yes.
and would we, I don't want to overdo it, but
No,
since you guys are going to create the creative, do we want, since it's in our park, do we want a final sign off in the proofs of what the material is? Is that overkill? Does it pass by Mike's desk first?
That was gonna be my question to the park board is, do you want to see the mock-ups?
Yeah, I think we
Yes,
should have.
I think we should.
Mock-ups are even just a PDF of, just in case it gets, down some strange, okay, now I'm sounding weird. But you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be out there for display, we should at least, before we say, we're all for it, and then you guys surprise us with something on there.
Do you want to amend them?
Make
I'm
that-
sure you won't, but
We'll amend the motion.
I will say, if we
part of
take
the
the
motion.
graphics off the arch, we can't just automatically do a monument, because we got the funding to do what was proposed.
okay.
So we would have to get a bid, and it will be substantially more to do a freestanding sign next to the archway. But we can get that priced out. It may push out, because if we have to fundraise for more dollars, that's the challenge.
So you want to change your motion to include
With oversight.
With us.
Approving?
Okay.
Final approval?
Okay, so I make a motion to approve this with the oversight of the park board, just to make sure that it's all good to go.
Mary Claire?
Very clear.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask one question? So would the board be willing to look at something different on the archway, or are you just saying, do not touch the archway whatsoever?
Do not touch the archway.
Okay.
Yeah, I look at it like, if you go see an old Viking ship or something in a museum, they don't screw the plaque about it right on the piece. And I know this project isn't just about the arch, but again,
Right.
yeah, I just think that's,
Could it be placed on the sides and not be on the visual of the front of the arch? Would that be, is that,
It gets tacky.
I mean,
You're still sticking something on the arch.
Right.
And it's not going to be as visible.
isn't,
I think it'd be seen more if it was near it or something in front
what's
I
the,
just-
of doing it.
I might just invite you then to maybe rethink the plaque that is on the arch, because, you really cannot read it.
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally know what you mean.
Yeah.
And again, I knew when I said something that's probably gonna incur more cost, or are the two that you have proposed for there, are they already set in, is that the
There's 4
beginning?
proposed. There's 2 on the front, 2 on the back.
Okay. Oh, okay, front and back, yeah.
so
Am I making that
could
up?
they go on the outside, inside of the arch? Because that way, as you're looking at the arch, you won't see the signs from the photographic image of it, but yet that arch will still be there. The arch is old, but it's not ancient for Hudson. It's a landmark piece that was installed to
Right.
say Hudson. So it's not I mean, I realize that we have sentimental value to it,
Right.
but it's not something that is ancient and original to Hudson.
Right.
So I think maybe as we look at it, maybe if it's a possibility to put them on the inside and the outside of the arch post, then it wouldn't be, if we're taking photos and you're taking your prom pictures and everything, it wouldn't be in those photos. That might be a possibility to look at.
But they're two different time periods and everything else, and it's just
Well, that's all
put on a
Hudson.
post.
Could we take over, could this project take, just not have them on those posts, but move that to the first light post in question and have it begin there? Or
It's
does
a
it-
lot smaller of a space, but we'll come up with options. It'll just be, maybe that has to move to a phase 2 if we need to find additional funding
I
for
see,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys understanding that, but again, it's personal,
Right, no, I
opinion. So
get
my
it, no, I
personal
get
thing
it.
is, don't touch it. Even, again, if it's 4 feet away and you have a post that has the two sticking out there, that's great. It's just, that's that. But again, we all get to have a say in that.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your support of this project, and I just want to also thank you for your support of Lights in the Park. I hope you've had a chance to go view the 4th annual, we hope, Buena Vista with
really look nice.
335,000 lights, and we hope to add each year, but I greatly appreciate your support. We can't do that project without you, so thank you.
It's beautiful.
So
you.
pretty.
It is.
Next item on the agenda is the bike repair stations.
Yeah, so River Valley Trails contacted me. They are willing to donate to the city a bike repair station. They would like to have it mounted somewhere in Lakefront Park. And so I am bringing it forward to the board to see if you are willing to accept that donation, and B, where you would like to see it be mounted. Now, in the issue sheet, I did say that we used to have one mounted next to the bathhouse. We ultimately relocated that one to go up on the north end of the Lakefront Park Trail to be incorporated into the Boy Scout project or the Eagle Scout project that was completed last year. So we no longer have one at the bathhouse, so that's a location. Otherwise, we can put it anywhere else that you think would be a good place to put one in. Like
I just suggested in a very visible, open area.
Okay.
We were out in the Grand Canyon, and they have those, and they're in the parking lot areas, very visible where there's a lot of traffic, so that no shenanigans can go on with them. But they're very nice, and all the bikers, they use them. They'll tune their bike up on their way and everything. So, yeah, it's a good thing.
How big is it? Like, would it fit where the old one was?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It was that, the old one was tucked on the north side of the building. To Don's point, it wasn't very visible, but people did use it yet.
But the visibility is not only to be seen, but so no shenanigans
Yeah,
go
no
on.
shenanigans, right.
First, it was going to go out by that big planter,
Okay,
where it would have been more visible
right.
at that time. And then
Or, I mean, if you want to place it along the trail, we can always have my staff pour a concrete pad to mount it on there as well. It's up to you where, if you want to.
What about down by the fitness center?
Yeah, what about that area where there's
Yeah,
those different reps you
Yeah.
can do?
Yep, that would be a
That'd be a good place for it.
location.
Well, first off, we want to accept the gift, right?
I'll move to accept it.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion about accepting it? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Now I think we can have an influence on where it goes. But we have said we're going to take it and we'd like to do it.
Yeah.
Good.
And so is that something we want to work out? You want to work out with them and then come back to us with the final?
No, they kind of put it in our lap.
Okay.
They said, have the park board discuss where they'd like to see it, and then based on our discussion, I'll go back to them and say, they want to accept your donation, this is where they want it, and they'll give the thumbs up or thumbs down.
Good.
If it's anywhere like Lakefront Park, they're gonna say, yeah, go for it.
Okay.
The only thing I would say is if we have one up on the north end, it makes sense to put one down closer to the south end, so they're kind of on each end of the park, kind of bookending it.
Yeah.
Because if you put it next to the play, or the workout equipment there's the one in the north end is
Yeah.
only 300 yards north.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like by the volleyball courts, there's lights there,
Somewhere
street
down
lights
there.
are there. If you take your bike off your car, it's kind of there rather than tucked far away. And then that's also the south side, if you will.
It's near the new boat
Yeah,
launch
that'd
and
be good.
everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a suggestion for where we put it?
South end?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
We all comfortable with that?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah. Great. I think it's a going to be a nice addition.
Side area.
South end of the Lakefront Park, along the trail.
In a lighted area.
Next item is our meeting schedule for next year. That was in the
Yep,
packet.
So it's basically the first Tuesday of every month, how we've historically held our meetings. Obviously, things can kind of play it by ear based on, availability or, agenda items, so on and so forth. But this gives us the general framework to work off of, so staff is recommending approval.
I'll move to approve.
A second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item we've got up is to install a dedicated memorial area in Lakefront Park. And I believe, Tori, that's part of the one you're involved with?
I can- You can
take
Oh,
it.
you can do it, Mike. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Tori had approached me, probably a couple months ago already, discussing a Veterans Memorial to be placed in Lakefront Park. And at the time, I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to get support from an organization to kind of team up and kind of have more, what do you want to say?
Support.
More support for the project instead of just one or two people wanting to see something go in. So she's done some legwork on it and got some responses from some organizations, and I guess she's bringing it forward tonight for just general discussion, get some initial feedback, and then also maybe just get some feedback from my personal standpoint as far as just kind of the discussions that we've had in the past about memorials in Lakefront Park. We already have memorial trees, memorial benches, if we do a Veterans Memorial, so on and so forth. Do we want to just create, instead of continuing to add and add and add memorials, whether it's, benches or trees, do we want to maybe just have one central location where we memorialize people, maybe in addition to the Veterans Memorial, where people can buy a paver or a plaque or something like that. So that's also something that I'd like to have just some initial discussion on and get some initial thoughts back from the park board. So with that, Tori?
Well, yeah, so I had been talking to some people about a Veterans Memorial because we don't currently have one in Hudson. There is one at the Government Center, but that is St. Croix County's memorial to veterans. And with all the redo that's going on at Lakefront, it's such a obviously beautiful location. We figured that it would be a great location to put a Veterans Memorial to our Hudson specific veterans. And so, like Mike said, I spoke with him, and he had mentioned that instead of having the city fully back it financially, trying to find an organization that would be able to help us out to foot the bill, or at least part of the bill. We really haven't done much footwork at all on it yet, because I just want to know that if it's something that we can move forward with, then we would go ahead and do that. We do have an organization called All the Way Home. That's a local organization that would like to help us out in making this memorial. And I just think it would be, I think that Hudson would benefit from a Veterans Memorial because we don't have anything to honor those who have served for us. So that's what I would like to see. That was something I would like to really work on, and obviously with all of your help, but to get moving and place somewhere in great visibility in downtown Lakefront Park for our veterans. So if we want to open up for discussion, I'm happy to do that.
Discussion.
Yeah. As a veteran, and I've traveled throughout the United States and all throughout Wisconsin, and I've looked at many veterans memorials. And most of them are kind of cold granite. People walk by them and that's it. I would like to see something that's very warm, very welcoming, where veterans can take their grandchildren, their children, and kind of almost a mini park within the park kind of thing. The pavers is a great idea to go with it for people that might contribute to this as a veterans. But something that's very warm, very welcoming, that would draw families, grandmas and grandchildren, so that we can share, this great heritage of the country and sacrifices that have been made. Because just putting something up to walk by, we can do so much more than that.
Right, like I said, yeah, we haven't designed or
Yeah.
done any footwork.
But that's just
so,
my thought.
Yeah, I agree, yep.
Others?
Well, and on that same point, what comes to mind is if we do it, in lakefront in view of the river. You know, I think benches or something where, I'm like you, Don, I've seen them and yeah, sometimes they're right in the middle of the city and it's a, you know, granite wall with some names in it and it's faceless and whatever. But if we do put it in this much more beautiful area where people can spend time there and contemplate and think of veterans, you know, that have gone before us, I like that idea. So maybe rather than just a wall with names, it's a functional, I'll say fountain or benches or gathering of some sort.
Right.
I'm wondering if we could do some kind of a survey of community members, veterans, and get their input as to what they'd like to see. If we would establish a park like this, what would they like to see in that park, and what's important to them?
And I threw out Prospect.
This might be kind of a far reach, but I'd like to see a sculpture as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of talented artists in this area. To get somebody who's really talented to donate a sculpture that's grand.
And I was saying the point up in Prospect could be a great opportunity for a spot as well.
Oh, the overlook up there.
Yeah, the overlook.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that would draw two things together.
What you against that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we use that point for like weddings and gatherings and things of that nature, and we're doing the
Yeah.
decorative walkway and the
Yeah.
patio up there. I mean, it's an option, but I mean, I think
Oh, now
I think there's
there's the
more
other point.
visibility, I think there's more visibility at lakefront for people to see it and, you know, get down.
That's where tourists or visitors
Right,
come.
we don't have, outside visitors don't go up to Prospect Park generally.
That's true.
So, that was our
Who is
goal was
it,
lakefront.
who's it going to be for, though? Is it for our veterans and our community?
Hudson veterans.
Or is it for visitors? I mean, it's kind of a sticky point.
Well, but you just said that when you go into different towns
Yeah.
and things, you go and visit veterans memorials.
Well, I
and-
walk by them, see them, and they're just so cold
So-
and everything.
Well, yeah, so I just think, what a way to honor who we've had by letting everyone know who
Okay,
we have. You know, visitors and residents alike, they can, you know, say thank you.
I guess my feeling is this, certainly I think we should explore this, but I like the idea of trying to consolidate some of our memorials so that we're not just spreading out memorials all over.
And then they lose the value.
Yeah.
Yep.
So maybe if we go with a Veterans Memorial, it also could be an area where benches or plaques or trees or whatever could also be added there, and it's a more specific spot for all kinds of memorials.
right.
That's my thought.
And then if someone has,
kind of like a memorial in a circle where,
Sort of, I mean, just so that,
where you could have
Just one
the scouting
location.
there
Like
as
a
well.
single location.
yeah.
So I think you're
Rather than
hearing that
constantly-
the park board is interested,
That'd be great.
and that it's not something that they're opposed to
Right.
looking at or doing, and to work with you to come up with a solution.
All right, well, that'd be
Am I
awesome.
correct in that summation of?
I would suggest the planning committee with at least one or two members of the park board.
Are you going to volunteer to be the other one on it with Tori?
Would this be something that we could
Well, you're a veteran.
approach the council with as far as funding, or is this going to be, I know I've done the pricing, but is this something that we could approach the city with for asking for funding, some funding, or is this something that, when we're doing something like this, that it's going to be solely funded, we should look for solely outside sourcing funding?
I looked at Stillwater's Veterans Memorial, and I believe the city gave the group that wanted to install it the land. You know which one I'm referring to? Let's see,
it up by the old car
by
house?
Teddy Bear Park.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No.
That one's really, really nice, really expensive. But obviously, the city gave them the land, and then the group organized and got all the donations to build and construct it. What I would suggest, and Mike, you're on council, I would say maybe do a little legwork and get some preliminary design and maybe some costs together, and then have those conversations.
Okay.
That's what I would say, instead of
Will you give
going
us
to them
money?
without a plan, without
Right.
anything, and say, hey, will you give us some money,
Right.
the more details you have, the better conversations you're gonna have.
Okay. Fair enough.
Could we put some kind of a survey on the website or somewhere asking for community input on on
could
it?
do, I guess what I would maybe say is doing some type of article in the paper. And just say, the city park board is looking into, Veterans Memorial and Lakefront Park. If you have any suggestions,
Any questions, call such and such.
questions, yeah.
That-
Or email so-and-so.
Would that email me, or do you want it to go to you, or how would we want to do something like that?
It's up to you.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that later.
up to you.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea, Pam, to get.
I like
Good
that idea.
thoughts.
I do like that idea.
I would be willing to help or volunteer for the
Oh, thank you.
committee, too.
Great. There you go.
Perfect.
But then a specific, is the park board dead set on a location in Lakefront Park? Are there spots that Tori should stay away from?
So you have two volunteers.
Obviously, I don't think around like the bathhouse or maybe the band shell. I'm just speaking, but are there like no-go areas within Lakefront Park?
So obviously in front of the band shell,
Yeah.
End of the dike.
and, yeah, and
Yeah, no.
And maybe
But
would the
no, I mean, that-
location be impacted by what it looks like?
what it looks like,
Right.
right, how
Maybe-
big it is, how, right, the
Right.
scope of it all.
If anything else is going to be incorporated with it.
And maybe what the community feel, where would the community like to see it too? Is it Lakefront Park? Is it is it a different park, or maybe get that input too? Just a thought.
No, I think they're all valid ideas.
Well, and since we're throwing ideas out, you mentioned at the end of the dike road, but that's one, just the road itself, let's say, not the end. Rather than just here's this little area with walls and a statue or whatever, almost like a moving well, you'd have to move, but a walking type memorial. Again, I'm not an artist or whatever, but maybe there's almost stations or use that, because that's basically a cement thing that gets you from one end to the other, and then you can look out and see the beautiful.
Or going along with the flags that the chamber's putting up, we could do something, maybe flags down the dike even might be an option. I don't know if that's something, maybe that might be something, a veterans walk down the dike might be
Yeah,
kind
or
of a neat.
messages in the, Mike just loves when we, I see jackhammer the entire surface off.
Yes,
No.
take
But
it
I mean,
all off.
Maybe it's a part of the walk and you visit the, World War I, World War II, however,
Right.
there's so many different ways to lay it out. And maybe it's actually in the surface or, along that wall. And then to kind of go back to what you were talking about, Stillwater, I know that in the future, we're gonna have some parcels of land become available to the park system, the city for the parks. And I know that there's some cities that have Memorial Park, and it's a city park, but that's the main thrust of it, is they have a statue or they have a whatever. But there's still picnic tables and benches, and I know that, we're talking about so many different things here, but just to throw things at the wall, maybe there is a piece that in a few years, when this all comes together, that Hudson has a Veterans Memorial Park.
Yeah.
That'd be nice too.
Your idea with, putting the posts, placards all along the walk, paste, not too, just walk a little bit, another one's up, another one's up. That would just hallmark that whole
That would make the
walking
dike
path.
a nice.
And we could do the history of Hudson and have it, with a question that leads to the next one, and a question that leads to the next one, where it draws people all the way down to the dike, and then have something at the dike where they could, it's something very nice. That's the reward for going all out there. And then on the way back again, tell another story that draws them into the town, the community, shop, whatever. But you can draw them out, have a reward at the end, draw them back in to spend time in the community. And boy, that could just be crackerjack.
Oh, it could.
I like the walk down the dike idea.
I think you're going to get some great ideas.
I do too. I think,
You know.
I like the idea of surveying the Hudson for it. I think that would be what people imagine to see for that. We'll just figure that one out. We'll figure out how to get that phrased and put together.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it will find a nice home in Hudson. I think it'll end up being something that you can be really proud of
Yeah.
in your community, that it was done, I think.
I think it's needed.
I think it's a really good idea.
Hey,
Thank you.
yeah.
That's it that we have for new business. We have old business, we have the concessions agreement
Yep.
with the bathhouse.
Yep, so Alex had reached back out to me, and they would like to come back for the 2023 season. The attached agreement is fairly similar to the one in 2022, just updated the dates, and cleaned up a couple different pieces of small language. So I reviewed it, and I think they did a great job, and they're excited to come back, and so staff is recommending approval.
How did they do? Like, did they?
They did well. Yeah.
People loved
A very
it.
popular
Yeah.
place. I'm glad they were
Yep.
very good kids.
It was all over Facebook. Like,
Was
people
it?
were
Yeah.
like, go see them. Yeah, it was great. It was really nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
They worked it.
I thought they did a good job on the
Yeah.
presentation, so it's nice to hear.
With, I forget where that is, well, I guess Grandview, we take a percentage of the sales from that? In that,
6%.
yeah. And then this doesn't, this has no, this is just a straight lease,
Set rate.
straight rent.
We did have a percentage for a while,
Okay,
and it just,
We
It was
benefit
just-
so much from having somebody down there, and just our vandalism costs dropped so far
that is not worth it, okay,
that it's worth it.
yeah.
I'll move to approve.
A second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Point of order, did we approve the minutes yet from last week, last month?
no, not yet.
Did we? I thought we did in the beginning.
No.
I'm sorry, that was my
No,
fault.
that's okay. Who just did the motion? I'm sorry. You did the second.
I said, yeah.
Yeah,
Mike and I
Sorry
Pam
about
did.
that. I missed that.
bested each other for
tied.
seconding.
yeah, we need to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Were there any changes, corrections, or omissions that anyone caught when looking at it?
I'll move to approve.
I second.
Moved and approved. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I apologize. Sleep at the wheel.
I would have gotten,
Yeah, sure. Project updates.
I don't have any, other than we're gonna start flooding the rink tomorrow.
Awesome.
So it'll get warm next week?
It'll get warm. Exactly right, Matt, exactly right.
I remember last year, you
it
getting
doesn't-
reamed out by that woman for how could you be so dumb as to not have ice for vacation?
Yeah.
And it was 45 degrees.
yeah.
You know,
But
I mean,
this one, it doesn't flow out now, right? Or it's a little
It
bit?
has more propensity to stay within,
Okay.
because it's dished, yes.
if you didn't know, the slope on the old baseball field where
Oh, my God.
where the ice rink used to be, they'd have to build up 6 to 8 inches of ice on one side to get it level before it could cover to the other. So the grading really made a significant difference and should be able to hold ice easier too.
How'd the liner work? Was that night and
Liner,
day?
no,
Huh? No liner,
no liner this year.
okay,
Yep, trying something different, see if it works better.
Okay.
is my answer.
You spray it down, let it freeze thin layers, and then go ahead.
Yep.
Everything go okay with closing up the bathrooms and?
Yep, no, nothing there. Obviously sledding hill, people have been using the sledding hill. Lakefront Park is very busy this time of year with all the lights in the park, Buena Vista. A lot of different events going on down there. Critters was in there last weekend. It was a little chilly on Saturday. The docks are in at the beach house if you haven't, or at the boat launch if you haven't seen that. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. The project that is being looked at to maybe do something with the bicycle trail on the, going through by the big dam and connecting in, the county, the village of North Hudson, and the city are all working together on that project and looking at what it might be able to be and what it might be able to become in the future and solving the ownership issues. The property, most of the property is owned by both the city of Hudson, the village of North Hudson, and St. Croix County. So to get all those ownerships straightened out and worked out will be a benefit from it too. But that's moving along, and we'll probably pick up speed here this spring. I don't have anything else. Anyone else for future business? Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.